Hello, this is Jilly Bling. How are you? It's been a while, I know. We've been tending to baby lately, and Tony's building a library Murphy bed in Warren's bedroom, so he's super busy today too. So this is today's project. It's a fun fold. So here it is as you would get it out of the envelope. Then this is what it looks like when it's open. And if you're not one who writes very much, this is perfect for you. Perfect for me. Thank you. Just because. Or I'm thinking of you. So this is today's project. And it's using a new online exclusive Thankful Garden bundle. And the bundle includes 3 things: the stamp set, dies, and masks. And I'm going to do 3 different projects. This is the first one, all using this bundle, and I think the third one will have use of the masks on it. But it's a really nice set. And then, excuse me, this is another online exclusive, Fancy Borders, and I think on the third project I'll use one of the borders. And I'll show you all the borders here in just, here they are. So we'll use one of the borders on project number 3. But this is the stamp set that goes along with it, and it is a bundle, which is nice. And the Just Because comes from Fancy Borders. In the video description, I have the second paragraph down. Here's a list of all the products used, and if you just copy that internet link, it will take you to my online store, and it'll list everything used to make this project. So Fancy Borders, including the item number and everything you need. Thankful Garden dies to cut out the flowers and the leaves. Stylish shapes to cut out these squares. See how they're kind of stitched? That's from Stylish Shapes. And Friends dies, and that's for this die right here. And I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, we'll use Memento and Crumb Cake ink. Crumb Cake to use a dauber to darken the edges of the crumb cake leaves, and Memento for the black outline before we color in the flower. Okay, so the boys were working in the other room and it was kind of noisy, so I started the second project. I could show you that. I didn't get very far. Let me show you that really quick, just because I know it's going to be good. So this is the second one. I want to use this ribbon, the hydrangea, lots of the little flowers, heat embossing, this beautiful paper, these new textured note rectangle dies, this new die, which is, I think it's called Pattern of Friendship die, and it's a big die, but this is as far as it is. It's just pieces right now, but it's going to be good. Okay, so that's where my mind was. Now coming back to this, let's see. So, oh, and I'll have the paper cut sizes on the video description at the bottom. So we're going to use purple fine shimmer dies, and that's for here. 6 of them. Cut out papers. Let's just get to building this. This paper, the Fresh Freesia designer paper, comes from this pack, which goes with this product suite, the Thankful Garden, and this is called Lovely Garden Designer Paper 165524, and that is where this designer paper came from. Boy, I'm out of sync. It's been so long. Okay, extra pieces, embossing folder. Okay, here we go. So here is paper base. We will fold that in half. And then fold these 2 flaps back. And then we're just going to layer. Sometimes a lot of layers really makes a card come together. When you're like, okay, I just want that on there. Oh, it needs something else. Just like add layers. It's nice to add black because usually you use black ink and that always makes for a good layer. So there's that. Not exciting at all. It's going to be though. So here are these. These will be attached, but first I want to texture these using, excuse me, this embossing folder called Eyelet. So I'll texture just the white. And here I have some of them done. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And the reason I have this one done in advance is because I put it on upside down. Because there's one way that it goes on easy, the other way it goes on hard. I think this is the way it goes on hard, but that's okay. You could do it so the little eyelets, the little flowers are poking up, or you could do it like this time with them poking down. And here, after I attach this one, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But I say it's the hard way only because there's so much texture. So you have to be a little bit heavy on your glue or adhesive because there's not that much to hold on to the crumb cake paper. So when I put it here, it's just naturally the white embossing folder paper is kind of curling up. So it's like, okay, you're done. But I could see it curling up on the sides. Like this, it's really curling up. So that's why it's hard. It's not really hard. Okay, so let me show you the difference in the look. So the look is this, it's going inward. The impression is going down. This one, the impression is coming up. When I think of an eyelet, I think it's more like this. So I was inspecting the paper, turning it one side to another, just like this. So I was about to put glue on it. I thought, oh, this one is a little bit cleaner looking. Oh, and I couldn't decide. So I did the opposite, and then I thought, wait a minute. So this one popping up, the one we're working on is popping down. Okay, so I had to get weights for all these. I should use that big block like Amy does. She has a big block just for weighting down layers, just letting them dry, then coming back in a few minutes, and they're ready. The other day she said, oh my gosh, this is dirty. And that's because she uses it all the time. So we started cleaning it with hand sanitizer, and if ever you need to clean your blocks, that is the way to go. Hand sanitizer takes off any of the sticky, and it takes off any of the ink, and even if you have permanent ink, hand sanitizer will take that off too. Okay, one more to go. So, like I mentioned, this bundle includes 3 pieces, including masks. And masks are great if you don't like coloring. But when you look at the sample, you're like, well, you colored today. So yes, we'll be doing some coloring. 3 different colors for the petals. Kind of fun. I should just get Amy's big block. Oh, I did that one. The other way. Oh, I can't take it off now. Darn. I get confused. Maybe I should put it on there. And what does Lisa call it? She calls it an Easter egg. Like, look at, there's one thing different. Okay. Well, sometimes you just gotta fix it. Oh, but do I have any more crumb cake paper ready? So when you have a embossing folder that's directional, this one is random, but because there's a pattern, I'm looking at the edge, trying to keep the paper parallel to the edge of the embossing folder, just so that my pattern doesn't look like that, because that would make the whole card look a little wonky. And I'm looking at the pattern of the little leaves sticking out. And I'm not real concerned about getting full leaves, just so it's straight. As long as it's pretty good, that's fine. Okay. Okay, now I need just one crumb cake paper. I always put all my extra pieces in a bag for when I make the rest of them. There we go. So which one is wrong? This one is popping up. Okay, so have it going downward. Glue's being a little stingy here. Might need to refill it. That. We'll decorate in a bit. That's for, see this crumb cake leaf and this crumb cake bunch of leaves? Cut those out. And this is for the words. So the words die, this comes from Friend Dies. And if I were to stamp my words first, put this over the top, because it's a solid die, which is nice, but because it's a solid die, I can't see the words through there to straighten it out. Therefore, this time I'm going to cut it out first. And it's interesting that this die, see how this is a really random edge? This side is just a little bit more smooth. So you could choose whichever way you like it. Okay, so there it is. And on here I'm going to put the same words, just because, and I'll do that in black memento. Hopefully get it straight. That'll do. I'm going to let that dry just a little bit, and then because this is a square end, I'm going to take a few minutes to cut random jagged edges like this, just so it looks a little bit matching. I'll do that in just a minute. Let's see. We could do these. So on the crumb cake leaves that are die cut, I use crumb cake ink and a dauber just to darken the edges of them, just to give them a little bit of dimension. And my dauber is getting a little bit old. Whenever you have a dauber showing its age, it starts to, the sponge on it, I think the ink kind of dissolves it. And it starts crumbling. But I'll get as much life out of it as I can. So see the difference? But if you looked at one that was with the sponge and one without, it makes such a difference. Here, I'll show you with this other die cut piece. This one is done. So this one, See how the one that's just die cut, it's just kind of flat, and the one that's on the card, it just has a lot more dimension. So one other thing is this leaf here that's crossing over that leaf, I just used the dauber to brush a little bit of color right across, just so it kind of helps you see where the leaf ends. I didn't know that I could get that one, but I will try on this one. So I could put more ink on the dauber, but that would make it darker, and I want it just to be really light. How about if I just do the top and the ends of all of these? Then I'll go back and do the bottom, just because it's easy for the position I'm holding it right now. So I'll show you pictures of, oops, the library Murphy bed here in, it's almost done. They were working on it today. They just finished for today, but there's still more bits to go. I'll take a picture anyhow. Because a few of you asked to see Warren's nursery, because I saved all the stuff from Emma and Evan, and that's what his nursery is all about. Okay, so there's that. We're done with that. Let's see how this is doing for drying. It looks pretty good. Okay, done with the ink. This is for stamping the flower. Let's do that. Oh, so stamping the flower. Okay. So this one is for the front of the card. So a whole flower. And it's nice that there's a die to cut it out. Good. And now for these 3 flowers, you'll notice there's one big one and 2 little ones. So I'm going to stamp on a separate paper the top flower portion of this big one. Just the flowers. Okay. Then I'll stamp this little flower again. Just that flower. And that will be for the 3 inside flowers. So we have this one flower, and there's a die for this one all by itself, and there's a die for the bunch of flowers. Here, I'll show you. So there's that one, the little one. So these 3 flowers are for right here, and so I was trying to make my image like really soft and girly, but it's washed out, huh? It's like, oh, I need bolder, brighter colors. So then I tried over here, it's like, oh, that looks better. But I think the green leaves, they need to be a little bit stronger too. So when I look at that, compared to this, I like that better. I think it stands out more. So enough of that. In here, we have this die, and these are the ones for the crumb cake leaves, and these are part of this bundle. Then there's this standalone die, and that cuts this one out all on its own, which is very convenient. See that? Okay, so I'm going to get these cut. So here they are. In the interest of time, I colored all these flowers for the inside and most of it for the outside. So today, in just a minute, we'll color this flower and these leaves. And the same process to color this flower is for that flower and these. So I could take the die, that small die, put it right back over the top of this, but because I like a tiny little white border, I found it easier just to hand cut it, and it doesn't take that long. So whatever you're comfortable with is fine. And what's nice is Stampin' Up, they left a little gap between the leaves and, oh, I meant to leave a little gap there. That's okay. And the flower, so that when you die cut it, you don't have the stem, obviously, you just chopped it off. So here, I'll show you what I really mean here in just a minute. So see how I'm leaving a little bit of a white border? That's just when I layer all the flowers together. I want you to be able to tell it's not just a blob of Petunia pop. You could see that little white definition. So I have that one done. When I show you on this one is the front. I'm not going to cut it apart, but you know how there's that die just for here? See how there's a little gap around the whole, if I didn't color close, around the whole flower, which is perfect for die cutting. They planned it like that. So this big flower, yes, it is getting a little munched up, but it's going to be layered in a trio with the other little flowers, so I could cover up all of these chunks out of the flower. And then just to be consistent, I'm trimming off a little bit of this white border that the die made, just because it's bigger than what I'm hand trimming it. I just want it to be equal. It's okay if it's a little bit different on the front, because you're not really comparing the front to the inside. Okay, so we have 3 flowers for the inside. Now we have this flower. Let's get to coloring it, just because in the center of the flowers I used Pearlized Enamel Effects, and it comes in a 3-pack with white, red, and black. And this is what I put when I take pictures and put them on my blog, which is jillybling.com. I'll have pictures and I'll make sure that they show the center of the flower, and it just has some little dots to indicate that's where the flower is, just for a little texture, a little interest. So these are all done. And we'll do that on the flower we're coloring in just a minute. So let's get to coloring that. So the greens, it's easy to start with the greens, are olive. So I'm going to go over all of the green area with Olive Light. And I'm coloring the leaves different than I'm going to color the petals, because the leaves, I want the 2 different colors of olive to stand alone. The petals, I want it to blend all into one color, or into one graduated, smooth looking color. So I'll show you the difference between the petals and the leaves here in just a minute. So if I let this green dry, and then I go back with the olive dark, the colors won't be blended nearly as much. If I did them like I do the petals, where I do the darkest, the next color, not letting them dry, that aids in the blending. So it's just kind of opposite effects. And there's no right or wrong. Whichever way you do it, whichever way you like it, is how it should be. So this is just olive light, and I'm trying to do 2 layers of color. So that's 1 layer. And then before I move on to a different area, I added a 2nd layer. Just because you know 1 layer, there might be some areas that are a hint lighter than other areas. If you do 2 layers of color, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so that's just the 1 layer, or the 1 color. So when you look at the green, you could see my old olive dark color, how it's just kind of streaked onto there, and it's not blended. I did that on purpose because I think it looks a little bit dramatic. Where the petals, I went from Heather Dark, Petunia Pop Dark, Petunia Pop Light, and see how that's all blended. When it comes to doing the petals on this flower, I'll do 1 color after another, only 1 petal at a time. You notice how I've let this dry. So, if I take this on here, it's not going to be blending. It's going to say, yes, I am a different color. But, like I said, that's the look I'm going for here. And kind of continue the stem. It's kind of hard to color holding it like this, so might not be the best coloring job. Okay, so you could see I didn't blend the greens, and I waited a little bit of time in between the colors. And you could definitely see olive light and olive dark. Okay, that was the plan for there. Now we're going to do something different on the petals. So it's going to be Heather Dark, Petunia Dark, Petunia Light. I think you could see from there. So Heather Dark, and I'm going to try not to wait much time in between the colors, and I'm doing just 1 petal at a time because I want them to be blended. 2 layers of color. Heather Dark, Petunia Dark. So while that heather is still a little bit wet, that's going to aid in blending. 2 layers of color and go over the seam. And sometimes you have to drift down into the previous color a bit. Then Petunia Light. Color it in. When you're looking at it, you're saying, yep, those are different colors. But when I put on the 2nd layer and do a little bit of blending, it will become just 1 ombre effect petal. Okay, there it is. Heather Dark. And you know, I was trying to Google what kind of flower is this. I know some of you have good flower knowledge and you'll tell me. That is a, I couldn't find it though, because I wanted to know what color to do these little inside petals. And I found nothing. So I just went with what the mask told me. And the mask said it should be almost the same color. Actually, the masks are very random and abstract. Okay, so now I'm going to get busy coloring. Get it done. Heather Dark. And when you're coloring with your blends, if you always hear squeaking, I have to tell you, you're pushing too hard. There's no need for squeaking. Actually, it's just kind of messing up the tip. Now you know why I had those other ones done in advance, huh? If I did all of them, it would take way too long. I'm excited about the next project too. While I was waiting for it to quiet down around here, it's like, oh, I'll just do that one standing up over here at the counter. It's like, oh, all excited. And then Tony says, okay, it's going to be quiet the rest of the day. You could do your thing. And I was like, oh, well, I'm just kind of having fun with this. I haven't even colored in that hydrangea yet. So I was thinking Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, the Seafoam, that was all just too light. That didn't work. You know, there's not a blend in Garden Green, which is fine. This project doesn't use Garden Green, but I like Garden Green. Oh, and I saw the new In Colors. I should know them. It was just a few hours ago that I saw them. There's like a soft blue and a deep blue. They said it's really pretty. It's really deep and dark, which is nice. What else is there? Oh, there's a return. Slush. Strawberry Slush. That's back. But a few people predicted that because they saw online exclusives, and I think in the Baker's Twine pack was Strawberry Slush twine. So somebody says, that's Strawberry Slush. I'm like, I know, but sometimes they make colors that are really similar, but it is Strawberry Slush. So it's fun, a nice pink, something tiger, which is more of like an orange color. And what else? Did I remember 4 of them? Light blue, dark blue, tiger, slush, and there's one more. Okay, so to color this part here in, I'll be using Highland Heather Light and Dark. So I'll start out by doing Heather Light, it's all over on Facebook if you want to see the colors. What's the other one? It's going to make me crazy. I'm going to miss Wild Wheat. I use that as a similar to gold type color. Okay, so there it is. That's done. And see the difference of the blending on the petals, and then on these leaves it's not blended, just a different look. And this has the pearlized effects. So to do pearlized effects, just give it a little bit of squeeze, and once you have the squeeze going, don't let it up, just keep on doing the dotting. There's a swoosh. Okay, I have to let that dry. I have to put it way off to the side because you know I'll probably mess it up. But I want to trim this die. I know I used the this flower. I used the die to cut it out, but if I were to put this on here now, see all that white? I think it's distracting. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit, and then I'll cut in between the leaves. But let's let it dry just a bit. Okay, these are good and dry. These are done. Okay, so for this part, I have no plan. I'm just gonna pretend like it's like this end. Just random. Because it's random, I think that makes it easy. That kind of looks like a hand. Maybe it's got 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why it looks like a hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. They both have 5. Okay, so that's done. Okay, let's get to building this card. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the imprint is going down. Okay. So these just get stuck onto the card base. Let's see if my glue behaves. Oh yeah. I don't know why it was being stingy before. This one, see how there's a little bit less crumb cake showing than that one? I'm going to turn it over because that's going to kind of act like an anchor to the card. Yeah, this has a different look to it. It's smoother. I like them both. So the next part is the part that comes out, and I'll be using a few dies just to add interest to the square layers. That's done. It's going to go like this, and that part will pop out. So here we go. Put this one in half. Okay, let's see what dies are here. Oh, we have to do ribbon. I could do that. Let's do a double bow. And this one I purposely left the tails a little bit long and kind of curly, just because it adds a little more interest and detail to the card. And when I made it a little short, it'll still be fine. And then just a little regular bow for the inside of the card. Just a tiny little thing. So, the dies are for the Fresh Freesia designer paper, 2 of those, and the white is just a plain layer, and then the crumb cake paper gets this larger square die with the stitching on it. So here they are. Okay, so we can build it because there's no stamping on here. I was thinking about stamping on there, but then there really would be no room for a sentiment. It's kind of nice with the crumb cake back behind there. Makes for easy layering because I could see the corners. That worked out pretty well. It's going to drive me crazy about that other color. What about Facebook? People are posting all over about what the colors are. Here we go. Strawberry Slush, the tiger. Oh, yellow. What is that yellow? Oh, Lisa Freeman. Well, everyone will know soon enough. I don't remember what the yellow is. Yeah, and prices are going up. Annual catalog. Do you see the front of the annual catalog? Okay, I'm not going to look too long. Annual catalog. Oh, I know where to find it. Okay. Secret Sea Darling Duckling. That's the name of it. Cloud Cover, Darling Duckling, Secret Sea, Strawberry Slush, and something Tiger. There you go. Now we know. Whew. Okay. Layers and layers. If ever in doubt, do layers, and it works. It just works. Yeah, my freesia piece is on a little crooked. I'll just have to cover it up with pretty flowers. Because I know the dies are straight. Okay, then these go in here. This is a really pretty bundle though. Okay, like, yep, that's done. So now to attach it, I do have a little bit of a trick on attaching it. And the trick is mostly that if you have a card, you're putting it in an envelope, you want it to fit in the envelope. So this part can't be more than 4 1/4. So with that said, I'm gonna put some glue here and glue over here. Put glue right along here, because I know that the panel will go there. And then also, I need more fingers right in here. Just on that crumb cake bit. And because it's liquid glue, I can move it around. Okay. So, I'm going to use my grid paper. Oops, it has glue on it. That will go, I'm just guesstimating, it's going to go right about here. Put it in my corner grid, 5 1/2, so this can only go to 4 1/4. Maybe in a little bit further. Then, now that I know that the 4 1/4 mark is there, how does it look? Does it look straight? Yeah. So that's where it's going to be. Okay, so let that dry, and we can start decorating the card. Here's this. These. And this, which goes on the front, I still have to trim it. Oh, those are almost dry. I'll let it dry just a little bit more and then we'll work on this. Okay, so for the inside, this, see how there's the flower that was cut out the petal? That I'll have to strategically place so that another flower will cover that. Maybe up a little higher. So I'm just going to set them in place. This can go anywhere, and this can go right there. Okay, so I'll place this one with liquid glue. It'll be flat. The others will have dimensionals on them. But I'm just concerned about that little notch. I want to place it somewhere so that the other flowers can cover it. Okay. Then these other two flowers, I'm going to attach them right now with just one dimensional. Well, I guess the bottom one can have it all, because I want to tuck in one of those crumb cake leaves. Hold on. I'm going to need more. Okay, so this one can go. Oh, you know what? I don't want dimensionals to stick to this part of the card. So if I were to put it there, okay, I'm just going to set it here for now. And I'll be more careful with where I put dimensionals on this one. Well, I'm smart. Put one here and here. If needed, I'll put more on. But see how it's covering up that little notch? Okay. Maybe a little one right there. Just so it's not on this panel. Okay, and that has dimensionals on it. This one's going to go on the front. So this, I don't want them in a row. Okay, just like that. A little bit different than the first one, but that's fine. I like the delicate little branches though. Okay, right there. Then, this doesn't have any adhesive on it, so I'll just put dimensionals underneath the leaves. Okay, that, except for bling, is done. I think I like this leaf here better than this one sticking up. I do like the stem on it, but that's okay. Oh, it could still go right there. Okay. Just dry, just like that. Okay, so this here, I want to take some of this white out of there. So I need to decide where I'm going to cut through the stem. So on this one, I cut through the stem right here underneath this flower. See how my snips go under there? And I cut right there. That should be stuck down. And then I cut here. But because the words are going to be here, let me see if I could strategically place my cuts. So this one just has to be here. Then leaving a little white border, just trim it a bit. Okay, and then this one, there's no way to cover that up with the words. So I'm going to get right up next to the black line. And to get over to this section, that will be under the words. So on the sample, I went right across here, but this time, go down like that. And then I'll go right through here, because I know that the word label is going to cover that part. And also, if you put a dimensional under these things, the flower and the leaves, it'll just stick them right back together as if you hadn't cut them. There's just a little bit too much white showing there. You're probably saying, you just should have cut it all yourself. I know. Sometimes I do. But having the die, that helps out a lot. I went over to a printer and had her cut a whole bunch of cardstock just in half for card bases. And she saw the sample and she's like, well, you said that you have a die for these things. She says, for me to buy a die, have one made. And this is a printer who has connections. And I'm sure she has wholesale everything. But she says it costs, like I tell people, we can have a die, but it cost $120 per die. I'm like, really? I said, no, Stampin' Up! Makes them to go with the stamp set. She goes, every stamp? I said, no, they strategically plan it. I know that there's a logic behind it, but I said, not for everything. She's like, wow, that's great. But I guess if the Stampin' Up! Does it in a large quantity, that's how they get the price down. So they charge us, what, $30 about per die? 20, 30, depending on how many pieces. Okay, so there, when I'm holding it like this, it looks like a mess. But once it has dimensionals back behind it and it's all stuck together, it'll look good. So I think I'm going to cut out a little bit of white here and a little bit there. Okay, just make it all equal. If it was white on white, it wouldn't be so obvious, and I would just leave it. But it isn't. It's obvious. It looks bad. We have to have that freesia paper just peeking through there. Okay, next time I'll just cut the whole thing, because I'm pretty much cutting the whole thing anyhow. No, I did the bottom and the stem. Okay, there it is. Okay, so this will go here on dimensionals. And I'm going to use some dimensionals to stick these cut pieces back together. So flower gets 3. This little leaf gets 1. Maybe 1 there. It's cut apart here. cut a part there. Maybe a little one will be better to hold it. I don't know if a corner. Okay. On this leaf here, then glue on the stem. Okay, it's ready to attach. Oh, and you know, let me see if this one comes up. And I'll tell you why here in just a minute. Because when you close the card, you see this one. I don't like seeing that. So this is a bit better. Not so much. Okay, and then this will just be tucked in. And the rest of the leaves will have dimensionals. Oops, you could see it. Then we have these two items to attach and bling. Okay, so this is going to have liquid glue underneath the beginning and dimensionals under the end. So where's that cut? Right there. And it's okay if it hangs off, maybe not that much. Just because you still have to get it into the envelope. Okay, and then this is going to go right about there. Okay, so the bling is purple shimmer bling. And what's nice is it comes in quite a few different colors, and we used most of these colors. That I think is heather light, heather dark, and more of a berry color. That might even be, no, it's not freesia. Maybe it's freesia. And then this color that's a little bit deeper. So on this one I used the middle, the darkest color. So this time I think I'm going to use more of the berry color. I'm going to do 6 of them. So I'll do 3 big, 3 little. No, I have to put something under that. It's kind of flopping up. So 1. Trying to get that glue dot. 2. 3. Siri off. Sometimes she hears me and I'm not talking to her. Then over here. Oh. 1, 2, and one more little one. 3. Okay, so that is it. Do you like it? If you like purple, you'll like this card. Well, thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks.